Welcome. It's day 4. Can you believe it? We are here. Let me set this and get this recording. I am coming to you guys from Hollywood, Florida. I'm over here for a conference, so taking a bit of a little pause during our lunch hour to bring this to you guys live for day 4. So thank you for being here. And Mike, thank you for your team for adjusting to the other locations. So that's great. So today on day 4, guys, we are going to be talking about now bringing all of this together and taking what has been learned in the class and take it out into the real world and make sure that we are able to execute on all the time we've spent learning the material, because otherwise, what were we all here for, right? So let me go ahead and share my screen with you guys. And then we will get going here. All right, Mike, you guys should be able to see that now. Yep. You guys, okay, perfect. Perfect. And then on Zoom, you guys can see. Awesome. So let's start with just a little reminder once again that it is time to go to work. It is time to retrain the mind, time to train the mind, if you will. And I want you to think about, with everything that we have kind of talked through this week, what has been some of the biggest, or if not the biggest, aha moment for you? What has been the biggest opportunity for you thus far in the class so far? Go ahead and put that in the chat. Put it into the chat. And guys, let me grab this one other thing here. Hang on, Mike. I'm making it work for you guys. Give me 2 seconds. Got a little audio delay here, guys. So just 1 second. Okay, that works. That works. Okay, there we go. All right. No, Sharon, there's not going to be a workbook for today. You guys are going to do some work by yourself. You're just going to need a regular little piece of paper and a pen, and that's it. A pen and a piece of paper, and that will be it. So in the retraining of our mind, the biggest piece that we're going to want to think about is this thing called the reticular activating system. The reticular activating system. And the reticular activating system is going to be the thing that lets us put all of this information together. So the reticular activating system is what we have been teaching on all this week. And let me give you the scientific description of this, and then we'll go into the practical application of this. So the reticular activating system is really the anatomically and physiologically distinct nuclei that we have inside of us that we came built with when we came out of the womb, that is part of the brainstem that really functions to activate the cerebral cortex. I told you guys I was a big nerd, but here is neurologically how all of this stuff starts to work, right? We have built-in capabilities within our DNA, within how we were made, that allows us to do all of the things that we've been learning this week. And so where we focused on the subconscious thoughts that we have, where our high positive intelligence is versus our low positive intelligence. And when we're finding out if our saboteurs are in play, and when we're finding out whether our thoughts are serving us or if they are sabotaging us, this is what the reticular activating system is going to do. Is as we are training our subconscious to think differently and to act differently based off what we are telling it to be true, the reticular activating system is taking those now new subconscious thoughts and marrying them with our conscious thoughts to create the actions that will propel us forward into accomplishing what we want to do. And it has all these incredible chemicals. It releases our motor function for us, our movement, our emotions, our ability to remember is all coming from this reticular activating system. And it would probably surprise some of you, maybe not all of you, that a lot of times our memories now that we see as adults are now memories of memories of memories of memories. It's not a true memory of what the event actually was. That's the reticular activating system, okay? And yes, understanding how our beliefs shape our reality. That is exactly right. And so let's go back just quickly from yesterday through our sage powers, because I want to see which sage power is most resonating with you, or one that you see consciously you may do pretty well at, but subconsciously you need to go find that sage when these tough moments come. So the sage one was the power to empathize. It's the power to empathize with others or ourselves when we're having difficulty or when we're having trouble connecting. How do I first seek to understand and then to be understood, right? Then we had the exploring, the power to explore. I'm going to go and be that anthropologist. There might be something here, I'm not sure, but I'm not exploring from a place of absolution to find something. I'm exploring based out of curiosity. I'm exploring to see what else could be. And the innovation, the power to innovate, that is coming from a place of I need to go find what I cannot yet see. Problem solving, solution finding. When we've tried everything else, we've always done it that way. We've never done it that way. And I'm going to go now find what is not necessarily right here and keep doing other things and keep trying new ideas until I'm able to actually see a solution. The navigating, right? The power to navigate. This is one that I really have to be conscious on. And that is in the ability to say yes and. Yes, I like that idea. And here's why that would work, right? And then we also have the ability to activate that allows us to then say, okay, let's not sit here and stew on all the potential ideas anymore. Let's actually decide and go make it happen. And that's where the excitement of everything comes in. So today, we're going to be really talking about bringing all this together. So I want to ask you, how many of you truly know the difference between envisioning and dreaming? Envisioning and dreaming. Envisioning is the difference of visualizing that something can happen. Dreaming, how many of you, when you were a young kid, young little boy, young little girl, you dreamed of being something? What do you want to be when you grow up, right? We're always asked that question in grade school. What do you want to be when you grow up? Well, I want to be an astronaut. I want to be a doctor. I want to be this or that, right? But what we don't always see is that in the process of that, we are dreaming of what we would like to have happen, but we don't always get to see it happen because we aren't thinking about what it's going to take to happen. I want to be an astronaut. Well, aren't you glad you're not an astronaut today, stuck up in space somewhere, right? Or I want to be a doctor, but we have no idea that it's going to take 12, 16 years of school before we ever get to operate on somebody, right? That's the dreaming piece. It'd be great to have. It would be nice to have. I hope my sages will come and help me. I hope I can make this happen. I hope I can learn something from here, right? Versus the envisioning is I am visualizing what will be. I am visualizing myself as such and such. And I want to give you a great example. There was a gentleman, and forgive me for just a second, I'm trying to make sure everybody can see the slides here, because I guess you guys aren't seeing these slides. So let's make sure we can do that. We have hold on guys, just 1 second. Okay, now do you guys see that? Okay, good, Mike. Thanks. Sorry. Let me know, Mike, if you guys have issues. So when you're thinking about the visualization, think about this. So there was a gentleman and he wanted to be a Navy SEAL. He had no idea how to be a Navy SEAL. He just knew it was possible. So he envisioned every day for years what it would take to be a Navy SEAL. What would I have to do physically? What would I have to do mentally? How would I need to make my mind stronger? How would I need to make my body tougher to get through the training? How would I need to be able to do this, this, and this? And in addition to his training of the physical piece, the visualization of seeing himself as a Navy SEAL, envisioning operations that he would go and do, envisioning being in the Navy, allowed him to become the Navy SEAL versus dreaming, I'd love to serve in the military one day. I'd love to win $1 million. It doesn't mean I'm going to do it, right? So that's the difference. And I know I'm spending a lot of time here and it sounds basic, but this is going to be something you're going to want to be checking yourself on throughout the sessions and throughout after these sessions, of making sure that as life happens, am I just dreaming about what could be in my business? Or am I actually trying to make it happen and visualizing myself with revenue in my business, with relationships healed, with a new job that sustains me and fulfills me and gives me everything that I'm looking for? That's what we're really talking through about here, okay? So there's a reason why, though, the goals that we set out or what we hope to accomplish in our life doesn't happen. And we've kind of touched on all of these this week, but I just want to highlight quickly because we're going somewhere with this. So we need to really have this concept foremost on our minds as we go through the rest of this class today. So there's a couple of reasons why people don't accomplish their goals. The first of which, there's just a lack of self-confidence to create a meaningful vision, right? We talked about that on Monday and Tuesday of not just the saboteurs, but what do you believe? What do you believe is possible? What do you believe about yourself to be true? Where's the proof in that? Well, my father said I was never going to amount to anything. Where's the proof in that today? Where does that happen today? Well, I'm not good enough. People don't really like me. Where's the proof of that? Right? Nobody would be interested in my business. Where's the proof of that? The second thing is really where we are reactionary, right? Versus being proactive and responding, right? A lot of people are reacting to their life. They're on autopilot. They're just spinning the hamster wheel. We talked about that. Versus proactively working to make their life happen according to what they are visualizing themselves to be, have, achieve, and accomplish. The third of which is the negative influence, the negative self-talk. All these little saboteurs that we've been talking about all week, they are in full force. They're telling you this, that, and the other that's making you believe, know, and feel that what you want to accomplish is just not possible. It's just not possible. So why bother, right? And then the next one is analysis paralysis. We overthink and we overthink and we overthink so much to the point that we're not able to take any kind of action because we're so afraid of what could happen. We're playing the worst case scenarios out in our mind. And so therefore, we don't do anything. And so we're paralyzed by our constant need to analyze and think it through and think it through and think it through, when sometimes you just got to go for it, right? And then lastly is this lack of knowledge. It's this lack of knowledge that we have where I don't know how to do something, so I'm not even going to try. I don't know where to go with this, so I'm not even going to try. And it's just mind-boggling to me at this day and age that we're not willing to try something because we don't know anything, because we have the entirety of the world at our fingertips. We don't have to go wait for some door salesman to come and sell us an encyclopedia or get a library card to go to the library to get a book and read about it. We have access to so many things. And one of the things I love about younger generations, Gen Z especially, as much of a bad rap as they're getting right now in a lot of ways in the workplace, they're willing to come in and just go for broke. They're willing to come in and try new things because they know they can learn along the way. That's what they've done their entire life, right? So now is where you're going to get out your pen and paper, and we're going to go through something called the success loop. How many of you have ever heard of the success loop? This is not in any way, shape, or form new. This is from Dean Graziosi. Let me go back to the chat. Sharon is envisioning seeing the entire process of becoming and being. Yes, yes. So it's visualizing that you're already there. It's visualizing that you already have something. It's visualizing that you've already lost the weight and envisioning what you look like with that. It's envisioning, you know, the home that your second home that you're wanting to purchase somewhere and what that looks like. What are you filling the house with? What does the furniture look like? Yeah, great question. Great question. So the success loop, guys, is really thinking about the moment I shared with you guys on Monday and Tuesday, where I had this event that changed the trajectory of my life. That was leaving in the middle of the night with my two kids to get to safety, to flee a harmful situation where otherwise life had been going well. I told you I loved my job at that point, was doing well. And I just had to make a change based off something that was done, right, to me. And that could have very easily been an event or an incident or a situation that I let define me, but I chose not to let it define me. It became something that I experienced, not something that defined me. And that's going to be called the success loop of changing our mind with this, training our mind to see this in a different way. So on your pen, on your paper, you're going to draw this wonderful little circle with the stem kind of going out to the top right a little bit more than it goes out to the left. And then there's 5 lines on each side. And then there is a line on the bottom. Okay. So I want you guys to think about, as you're drawing that, how many of you have ever had a life-altering event that completely impacted you, that completely impacted how you see the world, that completely changed the trajectory of your life, and not necessarily in the greatest of ways? It was an event that shook you to your core. Maybe it was a divorce. Maybe it was a loss of a job. You know, another piece for me would have been I had to drain my 401k. Maybe a loss of a loved one that was unexpected, a tragic accident. Think about something very traumatizing for you. Okay. And I'm not talking about the traumatizing events that you have to go to therapy for. I'm talking about a life event that nobody in you know, middle school or high school tells you could be possible as you become an adult, right? Everybody wants to become an adult, and then you realize life is full of these wonderful beauties of options, right? You can pick the most recent, Sharon, if you want to. It can be anything. It can be any event that you want it to be. So as you're thinking of that event, I want you to think about sitting in that moment and how you felt. Sitting in that moment and how you felt. What was happening? Okay. And these moments often change everything. Maybe you had to move, maybe you had to do whatever, right? But I'm sure in sitting in that moment, you're also finding that, and we all do this, that you begin to do what's called stacking and internalizing or thinking of self, meaning my life has changed forever. My life's never going to turn out the way I want it to. Now I've lost this job. Now who's going to hire me? Now we've lost our house. Now where am I going to provide for my family to live? Now I have to move back in with my parents, with my wife and daughter, because I can't afford to do anything else. Now I have to do this. And this is, now I've become everything that my father said about me to be true. I actually did turn out to have nothing to show for it and be no good. Never going to amount to anything. That's the stacking. That's the self-negative talk stacking that happens to all of us, to the best of us. No matter how positive we are, we have those moments where we just can't get a grip on reality, and all we're seeing is the rabbit hole of every worst case scenario. Every bad thing that could go wrong will go wrong, has to go wrong, and then it's all going to be horrible, and this is just my life. But, and here's where the reticular activating system is going to come in, that we've just been teaching you guys about, is what if I started to reverse stack? What if I started to say, okay, so I had to flee to back home to Florida with my kids. And okay, I didn't love that, but I'm glad I'm near my parents. I haven't lived near my parents in a long time. I haven't lived near my parents since high school. Maybe my kids are going to be able to have a great relationship with their grandparents because they're going to be close to them. I had to drain my 401k. Okay. But like I told you guys earlier, but now I'm not afraid of money. It doesn't define me because I know I've lost it and I know I can make it again. More than what I even had then. I lost my house. Okay. I still have my health. I still have my family. We're all safe and sound. I can still go get another job. I can start to provide for my family again. It may not be a home that we own, but I can put a roof over their head. I had cancer and now I am cancer free, which is awesome. And instead of thinking about all the things I don't have from that experience, I can think about, man, but I am going to live through that. And how many other people am I going to get to relate to, because we're all going through this together. And this is going to sound like, okay, Darla, that's just cheesy and you're just trying to think. It's just positive thinking and positive affirmations. It is so much more than that, guys. It's science. It's this reticular activating system that is begging you to let it work for you. It is begging you to wipe away quickly those negative thoughts, the saboteurs who surely are going to be in all full force, especially that you now are aware of this. You're going to now see this all the time. But if I spend more time when situations happen in a reverse stacking conversation with myself than I do in a stacking conversation with myself, what gets to happen? I get to now get back in the driver's seat of my life. This may have happened to me, but I sure as heck get to choose what I do with it, right? So now I get to start thinking about a couple of things. Number one, who do I not want to be? And this isn't just related to that event, but in your life, now that you kind of have this information, who do you not want to be anymore? We talked about what you believe on Monday. And we said, you may not know what you believe, but you know what you don't believe. I'm not exactly sure who I am, Darla, but I know I'm not who my parents said I was. I know I'm not that person. And I'm not going to project that anymore onto my kids. Who do I not want to be? I'm not going to be that victim that says, poor me, where's my help with these kids? I'm going to choose to believe what my father said about me. You can do this. And I'm going to go figure out a way to do this. Who do I not want to be? So then the next question is, Who do I want to be? Who do I want to be? I know who I don't want to be. Maybe I don't want to be like my mother or my father or the grandmother who raised me, or like I don't want to be the bad boss I just got freed from. I know who I don't want to be. I'm starting to kind of figure out, Darla, who I want to be. So then the follow-up question to that is, and here's where the rubber hits the road. So who are you being? If you now know who you don't want to be, and you're starting to realize who you do want to be, who are you being day in and day out? And there's a acronym I want you guys to write down. It's called NWYN. NWYN. Notice what you're noticing. Notice what you're noticing. Do you notice all the horrible events and incidents that are happening around you? All the things that people are doing that are making you mad and frustrating you and giving you the license to be upset because they don't understand the impact what their life, what their choices are doing to you? Or are you noticing that there is good in every situation? There's something positive in every human that I encounter every day, even if I don't agree with their politics, even if I don't agree with their religious views, even if I don't agree with how they're approaching their job or how they're raising their kids or what type of husband or wife they are. There are good people all around us, and there is good in everything all around us. And I'm going to choose to find that. So now I know who I want to be. I know who I don't want to be. Who am I being? And why this is so important. And this is where the reticular activating system comes into play, because now I am back in the driver's seat and I am now accountable and responsible to myself for the choices I make and how I choose to continue to live my life. It's not about some strategy or some magic pill. I told you guys Monday, that's not a thing. There isn't a magic pill. And you can have every strategy in the world and pay for every strategy in the world. But until you train your mind to be your strategy for everything, it does not matter. It does not matter. So I want you now then to think about projecting into your mind a really painful failure. Maybe you never have lost a job, but what would it look like if you did? Think about the worst case scenario. What if I lost my spouse? What if I did this? And I want you to think about the business that is happening and we're losing money. I have a actual client from a couple weeks ago that we were talking about this, and there is about 6 months of cash flow left in the business. And he had the analysis paralysis until we started working together. And I said to him, you can sit here and we can project this painful failure of just, if I don't talk about it or if I avoid it, maybe it won't actually come true. Or I can show back up here in 6 months and we will be locking these doors and we will be telling all of your employees, good luck, I'm sorry. Projecting that painful failure for a minute lets you understand from an accountability and responsibility standpoint, you have the power to change your circumstance. You have the power to change the projection of your life. You have the power to change the future of your life. You have the power to change the rest of your day. You have the power to change how you are viewing a situation that you might be going through with your family financially. Okay, this isn't the most ideal world. However, 6 months from now, I can see where we can be if we start to make some changes right now. And these implemental changes that we're going to make every single day, and these choices we're going to make that are going to fuel our sages, that are going to fuel our intentionality, that is going to fuel our reticular activating system, that is going to fuel my belief system, that is going to allow me to continue to show up for me based off my values, based off what I know to be true, based off what gives me meaning, purpose, and joy in my life, then I can pretty much handle whatever everybody else is doing because they're not driving me. I'm driving me. right? So think of the projecting a painful failure of this. If you don't do anything about it today, what happens? What's the cost of inaction? Financially, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically? What's the cost of inaction if you don't start going to the gym and the doctors told you that you're prime for a stroke, or you're prime for a heart attack, or you're prime for XYZ if you don't get your heart rate moving? What's the cost of that? It's moving your mental thought process from a place of being in pain to a place of wanting to find the pleasure, and the pleasure in the sense of, I get to choose my life. I get to decide what kind of life I have. I get to ball out. I get to build and live the life that I love, right? So in that, then I get to get really excited about a future that I want to make, and not just any future, but a compelling future. The one that I thought, as that little girl dreaming, I would just naturally have when I said, oh, I want to be this or be that, an astronaut or a doctor as a little kid. Now I actually get to build it. Now I actually get to make that happen. Now I actually get to live that kind of a life, and I'm actually going to love it because I did it and I'm excited about it. And then you get to turn around and do that for somebody else. And that's the compelling future that you get to build, right? So what does your compelling future look like? What does your compelling future look like? I want you to think about, and I'm not a car person, but I want you to think about, oh, I don't know, a Ferrari or a Maserati or a Lamborghini. And, you know, here's all these guys, and Mike, your team will appreciate this. Here's all these guys who, man, it goes from 0 to 60 in 3.8 seconds or 4 seconds. Okay, that's awesome. Congratulations. That's what you're into. But the purpose holds for this conversation. You can have the fastest car, you can have the fastest action, but if you don't have a GPS, if you're not visualizing where you're going, if you don't know what you believe, if you don't know where the roadblocks are, if you don't know what you have in your arsenal to help you, it doesn't matter how fast you're going, because you're still going nowhere fast. You have to have the GPS. You have to know where you're going, because I would implore you and beg you that if you really sat and were honest with yourself, and maybe you've realized that this week, that a lot of why things haven't happened in your life is not so much of what came before you, although that is impactful. Trust me, I know, and I've shared that with you. But it may also be because you're not willing to let yourself believe there is a compelling future ahead of you. And that becomes our responsibility to answer to ourselves for. We have to be accountable to ourselves for that. I wasted almost 9 years, guys, sitting there stoking in it. So I get it. But what would have happened? Where would I be now if I would have done something really, really compelling in those 9 years? I stumbled through those 9 years trying to figure it out as a single mom, trying to make it through, trying to work through all the jobs, trying to make it happen. Where do I go? Just trying to come up for air and put food on the table and just surviving, right? Back to that primal state. But what if I started thinking about my compelling future from the powerful state and getting excited about it and having a peace about it and a calm about it? Because there is a very strategic plan of action that we're taking. There's an accountability to myself to make that happen. That's the compelling future that I want you guys to have. So when you have this visualization of your compelling future, what do you need? What do you need to be able to make that future happen? What are the capabilities that you have to have? Maybe you are starting the business, or maybe you are taking over somebody else's business, and you know sales and operations and marketing and all this, but you need some help on the finance and bookkeeping. Maybe that's a capability you need to go and hire for. Maybe there's habits that you need to start to have. Maybe there's habits that you need to break. What kind of a community do you need to have around you? You know, Monique talked about this yesterday, where the 5 people we have around us tend to define who we are. Do you have people around you that are bringing you down? When you go down a negative tank or a negative slope, they are filling up your negative tank and saying, yes, let's sit and stew in that. Or do you have the people around you who say, okay, what do you want to do about that? How does how you're feeling right now align with what your compelling future is supposed to look like? and help bring you back on track quicker? What kind of resources do you need? Do you need to maybe read up on some things or access resources and tools to things that you don't naturally have access to right now? Are you comfortable to say, I don't know that? I don't know how to do that. I have a business. I have a very successful business, but maybe I don't know how to do this or do that. How comfortable are you saying, I need help in my business in this area? Because the longer you don't address it, the bigger that problem becomes, right? And then how are you going to take the action? How are you going to take the action? You can learn as much as you want. We can read as much as we want. But until you take action, remember I told you guys about the applied knowledge is power, not just power. It's the applied knowledge is power. What are you doing? It's just more information you have. You've got to take action. And what are you willing to do today to start to take the action for the type of life that you want, for how you want to live around the world, how you want to see the world differently, how you want to choose to operate differently in the world, right? And when you take action and when you know what you're trying to do and you know when you are ready to actually make it happen, you start to put the pedal to the metal, right? For those of us who are lead feet, you put the pedal to the metal and you get all excited and you're moving. You've got things happening in your life and you're excited, but it takes action. You have to actually put the car in drive before you can put your foot down on the gas, right? And so then what happens? Then you start to build the momentum, because what is the thing that I told you guys on Monday? I said, when we were talking about what a metamorphosis is, you don't need any more motivation. Your mind does not need any more motivation. You've got to be able to put these things in action to generate this metamorphosis and how you approach the world. That's where your momentum comes from. It's not motivation, it is momentum. And the momentum comes from the actions. The actions come from getting a hold of your emotion. The emotions come from getting control over how much you allow yourself to think about all the things in the world you could possibly think about, and get back to the success loop on the other side that says, no, I am building a compelling future. I am putting the pedal to the metal and I am going to have momentum in my life. I don't care if I am 40, 60, or 80. That's what we're talking about. That's what the difference is with this. And so one of the things I'm going to give you guys a sneak peek into, one of the things that I do with all of my clients is going into the TAP action plan, And I've really tried to break this down for you guys this week, but it's really having the thought and the action plan. So the first thing, let's break down this week. The thought comes to mind, right? The thought comes to mind. And our first thing is to do what? See where it is coming from. We've talked about that. Is it coming from my belief system? Is it talking from a place of one of my insecurities? Is it coming from a place of what I grew up with believing to be true? Is it coming up with something that I've never really thought about? And now I'm having to kind of sit in this a little bit. Knowing where the thought comes from does not necessarily make it a negative or a positive thought. It's understanding where it's coming from first, to then determine what saboteurs are present. Is there a saboteur present? Is there a saboteur present? Is my mind generating from a place of a positive, high intelligence, or is my mind generating from a place of a low positive intelligence? Remember, your positive intelligent quotient is the percentage of time that your mind spends serving you or sabotaging you, because we have to know our enemy, right? And so when we have the thought, we know where it's coming from. We know if there's a saboteur present or not. Where's the proof to validate the thought? Is it coming from that saboteur, or is it coming from a place of, okay, I haven't looked at the mail in 10 days and I probably need to go out and check the mail because there's probably bills in it. And that's probably why my lights are off, right? So like, let's understand what we're really talking about here. But where is the proof for the thought? Where is that coming from? And then, is that thought serving me or sabotaging me as it pertains to my goals, my desired outcomes, my compelling future that I want to make for myself? Is it serving me or sabotaging me? And then if it's sabotaging me, okay, I'm recognizing that. I don't want to go down that road. I don't want to attach a negative emotion to it. I need to go determine in my toolkit which sage I need to go and bring to help me. Which sage do I need to go bring? Okay, this person is telling me that I'm all completely wrong, and I know that I'm right because I created the concept of whatever this was. I need to get my empathizer. I need to go get my empathizer cape and put the cape on that lets me be empathetic to talk to this person, identify where they are coming from, figure out why they think what they think, to then know how to have a conversation that is engaging, that is an exchange of information that allows me to empathize with them, right? Okay, so I've got another thought coming in. My saboteur is here, is in full force. Maybe I need a couple of them. Maybe I need to go and really explore. Okay, oh, that kind of hit a nerve with me. I need to go and explore that. And then from exploring that, that's going to make me take a different action. I'm going to have the power to explore and the power to activate and the power to navigate. Those are the things that we're thinking of. And then I'm going to take the action to align with my goals and with my compelling future. And so this circle, half circle, is what I have my clients hold up by their desk, on their phone, all day long until this becomes a step pattern with all of their thoughts that they have. And we do this for a solid amount of time and coming in, because this has to be the foundation before we can build on other things and their concepts of going on. So things are going wrong in the business. Well, you're making bad financial decisions. Why are you making bad financial decisions? Why are you doing this? Why are you taking on clients that don't serve you? Why are that don't serve alongside the business? Why are you taking on clients that suck the life out of you, that aren't paying you? Why aren't you getting deposits up front for jobs that you're taking on? Well, because I don't want to hurt anybody. I don't want to, you're being a people pleaser. You're a business owner, right? So you've got to understand all of the steps in the 7-step process to understand how to change the trajectory of your life, in your business, in your relationships, in your work situations, in trying to determine what kind of a job you want to have in the future, in determining, do I really want to step out and be a business owner, or do I just want to take a bigger role in the company? What does that need to look like? Is there something that is compelling me to feel like I have to take on that type of a role when I really don't want to? What aligns with my belief system? What aligns with what makes me me? What aligns with what brings me purpose and joy and keeps me in that powerful state of thinking, identifying who those saboteurs are, and then allows me to then make compelling action that will help me and change the trajectory of my life, right? So those are the things that we're talking through here as we are trying to help you guys with this day and making sure that you have all the things that you need so that you can create this compelling life that you guys want to have, and you can create this opportunity for you to be able to know, feel, sense, see, understand that everything you have in your life is possible for you if you will just let yourself go through this process and be able to take the time to think through it. Because we are not always the victim. Everybody is not always out to get us. Everybody is not always out to try to hurt us. Everybody is not always out in the world to try to do this, that, and the other for us. And that's what we're trying to get you guys to understand, right? So there's going to be a little link down here at the bottom. And if you guys are looking to kind of take your life or your business further, or you want to have just a chat further with this, some of you guys have already done this, but you're wanting to just kind of see what else it could look like, that's my link where it says schedule call with Darla. Just click on that and we can kind of walk through that. We've got one more day tomorrow, guys, and I'm so excited for you to be here and be back. We're going to finish this up. One more day. You've done a lot of work. It's a lot of mental work, and you've done such a fabulous job with it. So tomorrow we are going to wrap this whole entire thing up. So I will send it off here. Thank you guys so much. Make it a great afternoon, and we'll see you tomorrow.